Welcome to another Walter Football video. I'm Charlie Campbell, the most accurate mock drafter in the world. Don't believe me, just check the links below. You can see the standings from the past few years and, of course, last year. Also, I suggest you click into the settings here, speed it up to 1.25 or 1.5. And I have in the comments section here an outline of the mock if you want to follow along there, or you can click the link to the mock here at the top, and then you can follow along in another window as well. So let's get into this week's mock draft. All right, first overall, I have the Lions taking Bryce Young, quarterback out of Alabama. So Detroit, I think, will look to upgrade over Jared Goff. They could trade him, maybe get a day two pick for him. Goff is better than Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz. Those guys fetched third round picks recently, so they could get something for him, or they could cut him loose without any cap penalty. They need a better quarterback, a guy that can put the team on his back and win. Goff can win if it's perfect around him, great running game, defense, all that stuff like he had that Super Bowl year with the Rams, but he can't do it on his own in pressure situations. So I think Bryce Young over CJ Stroud because I think of the mobility factor. The league is really trending towards that. I could see where the Lions, with some of the issues they had this season with mobile quarterbacks, thinking back to week one, like Jalen Hurts, for example, I think Bryce Young just offers more athleticism, more running ability than Stroud does. So I could see that being a factor that helps him to go ahead of Stroud with some teams, and some teams are going to prefer Stroud. So it'll be, beauty is in the eye of the beholder situation, I think, between those two when it's all said and done. Second overall, I have the Texans taking CJ Stroud. I think Davis Mills is showing that he's a nice NFL quarterback, but not a true franchise quarterback, not a true difference maker. I could see the Texans looking to get an upgrade, and I think Davis Mills would be an excellent number two quarterback for Houston or for another team. But the Texans need a franchise quarterback. Stroud could be it. Third overall, I have the Panthers taking Will Levis, quarterback from Kentucky. Give the Panthers a potential franchise quarterback. Obviously, Baker Mayfield has been a disappointment there. There'll be a new coaching staff. They can bring in their own guy. Levis has a cannon for an arm. He's tough. He has some mobility. Has to cut down on the interceptions, holding the ball too long. But the potential is there for him to be a good pro starter. Fourth overall, I have the Eagles taking Will Anderson, edge rusher from Alabama. They just traded for Robert Quinn, but they adjusted the contract. Obviously, Brandon Graham's aging. Derek Barnett's been a disappointment. If this pick ends up being this high, this one from the Saints, and Will Anderson is there, I think that's a no-brainer for Philadelphia. Get them an elite edge rusher for that defense. Fifth overall, I have the Texans taking Jalen Carter, defensive tackle from Georgia. That defensive line in Houston is awful. They have got to get some more talent up front there. Jalen Carter be a really good three technique in Lovie Smith's system. Sixth overall, I have the Seahawks taking Miles Murphy, edge rusher from Clemson. Seattle could use a difference maker up front for their defense. Miles Murphy has big time potential, huge skill set, could be a star in the NFL. Seventh overall, I have the Steelers taking Peter Skoronski, left tackle from Northwestern. He's versatile, he's strong enough to play right tackle. The arm length might scare off some teams, but he's a really smooth mover at left tackle. I wouldn't be surprised if he is an overachiever and overcomes that and can stay at left tackle. But either way, he could play on the right side, he could play at guard, and this would upgrade the Steelers' line immediately with a plug-and-play starter. Eighth overall, I have the Jaguars taking Quentin Johnston, wide receiver from TCU. They need a big outside number one receiver to go with Christian Kirk. Johnston's big, fast, athletic. He'd be a great fit there for the Jags. Ninth overall, I have the Raiders taking Joey Porter Jr., cornerback from Penn State. They need more cornerback help. I think Porter Jr. would just come in and be a plug-and-play upgrade for Las Vegas. 10th overall, I have the Falcons taking Jared Verse, defensive end from Florida State. Atlanta needs an edge rusher to go across from Arnold Ebiketie. Could use more help on the interior of that defensive line as well. Grady Jarrett can't play forever. So I could see the Falcons looking really heavily at the defensive front in this draft if there isn't a quarterback available. 11th overall, I have the Dolphins taking Bijan Robinson, running back from Texas. I love this pick for Miami. He is a stud runner. He's dynamic in the passing game. He could really be electric in that offense. He's going to make life miserable for defenses because if you play your safeties deep to take away the deep ball to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, then you can hammer them with Robinson. If you bring the safeties up to defend Robinson, now the deep part of the field is exposed to those speedsters. So I think this pick would be just awesome for Miami. 12th overall, I have the Cardinals taking Cam Smith, cornerback from South Carolina. Arizona could use more cornerback help across from Byron Murphy. Cam Smith could be a plug-and-play guy, has really good length, tough, physical, really like him a lot. He'd be fun to watch there in Arizona. 13th overall, I have the Patriots taking Jalen Duncan, left tackle from Maryland. Isaiah Wynn could be gone from New England next season. Here's a long-term left tackle for them. 14th overall, I have the Bears taking Jackson Smith-Njigba, wide receiver from Ohio State. Obviously, they need a number one for Justin Fields. They badly need more receiving talent. I think Jackson Smith-Njigba it will end up, I think, unless the medical report really sinks him, I think he's going to be okay to still be a first-round pick despite missing a lot of time this season. 15th overall, I have Washington taking Antonio Johnson, cornerback safety from Texas A&M. Obviously, they need a lot of help in that secondary. It's been picked on all season, has been going back to last year as well. Antonio Johnson's just an outstanding football player, can play nickel corner, dime linebacker, safety, just a Swiss Army knife to help a defense. He'd be a great addition there for them. 16th overall, I have the Packers taking Jarrett Patterson, center from Notre Dame. He can play guard as well, but Green Bay could use more youth on that offensive line. Definitely would help Aaron Rodgers and that running game by plugging in a player like Patterson. 17th overall, I have the Colts taking Paris Johnson, left tackle from Ohio State. The Colts could use a left tackle. They took Bernhard Raymond in the third round last year. He has the skill set and potential to play there, but they could improve their line if they take a left tackle, kick Raymond inside to right guard. Now your line's better at two spots, and it's getting back to that dominant line that it was a few years ago. Obviously, there isn't a quarterback worthy of this pick at 17th overall. Maybe Sam Ellinger's the answer, but regardless, they do need another offensive line addition there, in my opinion, and I could definitely see Paris Johnson being a good fit for them. 18th overall, I have the Bengals taking Clark Phillips, cornerback from Utah. Give them another ball hawk for that defense. Cincinnati, with the team, the offense that they have, you're going to be playing from the lead a lot late in games. Good to have really good depth at corner, help cover up receivers, shut them down. Phillips has excellent ball skills, turnover machine, really gritty, smart football player. Think he'd be a great fit in the Bengals scheme. 19th overall, I have the Bucs taking Michael Mayer, tight end from Notre Dame. A little high for Mayer, depending on what team you ask in the league, but he's dangerous after the catch, really productive in college. The Bucs need tight end help. Gronk retires. O.J. Howard leaves in free agency. Now Cam Brate has a serious injury. I think Cade Otton was a smart pick, and he'll turn into a solid pro, but they're going to need more than just that. So I think Mayer would be a good addition for Tampa Bay. 20th overall, I have the Lions taking Will McDonald, edge rusher from Iowa State. I love this pick for Detroit. I think obviously Detroit needs cornerback help, but I think the third year for Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes there, it's going to be a big season, so I wouldn't be surprised. They should have a lot of money, I believe, in free agency, so maybe sign a veteran corner to go with Jeff Okudah rather than a rookie who might need some developmental time. Take another corner in the second round to be the third guy, and have two veterans to lead the corner group. But that's the biggest need on the roster. But they could use an edge rusher across from Aiden Hutchinson, and I love McDonald because he's such a speed freak, athletic freak off the edge, Aiden Hutchinson is awesome at cleaning stuff up when quarterbacks kind of get off center and start scrambling around. Hutchinson is so dynamic at just breaking down and hunting them down. I think a guy like McDonald that can cause some instant pressure off the edge will just make that defense much more potent against the pass. So I love this pick for Detroit. 21st overall, I have the Chargers taking Gervin Dexter, senior defensive tackle from Florida. Jerry Tillery's entering free agency. Even if he's brought back, they could use an upgrade next to him. The Chargers' run defense has been a problem for years. Gervin Dexter's a beast against the run. He's showing more pass rush this year. He's big, he's athletic, has upside. Putting him in between Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack, I think could be really scary in terms of his upside and potential there. So I love this pick for Los Angeles. 22nd overall, I have the Ravens taking Kayshon Boutte, wide receiver from LSU. He's a really good player in terms of run after the catch, quick, smooth, kind of a poor man's DJ Moore. Has got to improve his route running, has some lazy route running. Details are just off, needs work there. But Baltimore could use more receiving talent for Lamar Jackson. I think Boutte would be a nice addition to go with Rashad Bateman. 23rd overall, I have Seattle taking Brian Branch, cornerback safety from Alabama. Give them a really good Swiss Army knife. He's similar to Antonio Johnson from Texas A&M, where he can play cornerback, can play safety, versatile player where you can move him around. Branch is tough, physical, really like that fit in the Seattle scheme. 24th overall, I have the Titans taking Tyree Wilson, defensive end from Texas A&M. They could use more pass rush. Obviously, you have Harold Landry coming off a serious injury. Bud Dupree, he looked a little bit better to me, I thought, last week against the Colts, but he's still not that dynamic 12, 15 sack a year kind of guy. So you could take a guy like Wilson, have a trio to rotate for a year or two, and then you get rid of Dupree and you have your starter there in place. 25th overall, I have the Jets taking Cedric Tillman, wide receiver from Tennessee. Give them a big physical receiver to pair with Garrett Wilson. Be interesting to see how much longer Denzel Mims and Elijah Moore are on the team after their trade requests. But definitely, I think if you're going to add another receiver, get a bigger guy to go with Garrett Wilson, who's so fast and electric. And be good pairing to have a guy with some size and physicality to him, and Tillman definitely does. 26th overall, I have the Cowboys taking Jahmyr Gibbs, running back from Alabama, was at Georgia Tech. But Gibbs is just a dynamic receiver, very similar to DeAndre Swift and Alvin Kamara in terms of what he can do as a receiver, but he's fast and electric as a runner as well. I think with the Cowboys, you're looking at probably the last season of Zeke Elliott on the team. Maybe he gets brought back on a short-term contract, but even then you got Pollard hitting free agency as well. So you could sign one of those guys back, draft Gibbs, platoon him for a year or so, and then transition to Gibbs as the full-time starter. 27th overall, I have the Vikings taking Felix Nduke-Uzomah, defensive end from Kansas State. This guy is really tough on the edge, plays hard, has quickness, athleticism, gets after the quarterback. Really like this pick for Minnesota. Give them a young, talented edge rusher for that defense. And I think he's versatile enough where you could play him 3-4, 4-3. So either way that Minnesota would want to line him up, whether it's hand on the ground or standing up, I think he has that athleticism and upside to do either scheme. 28th overall, I have the Chiefs taking Isaiah Foskey, defensive end from Notre Dame. There's been rumors of them reaching out about Brian Burns from the Panthers. The Chiefs could use another edge rusher. I'm not sure how much longer Frank Clark's going to be in Kansas City. Even if he comes back next year and you have Karlaftis, you could take a guy like Foskey, have a trio to rotate there, and then eventually, you get rid of Frank Clark and you have Foskey and Karlaftis as your base ends there for Kansas City. 29th overall, I have the Giants taking Jordan Addison, wide receiver from USC. Obviously, they just traded Kadarius Toney. They could use more speed speed, receiving talent for that offense. I think Addison be a good fit there in Brian Daboll's system. He has some similarities to Stephon Diggs, so in terms of their physical stature and speed and ability to uncover and get open. So I like that fit for New York. 30th overall, I have the Bills taking Brian Brisset, defensive tackle from Clemson. Give them a tough interior run defender and another guy that gives them some talent up front in case Ed Oliver isn't signed to a long-term contract. 31st overall, I have the Eagles taking Jalen Jones, cornerback from Texas A&M. He's big, quick, physical. Really like this player. I think he'd be a really nice combo to go with Darius Slay, and you got Maddox on the inside. Now you have really talented trio cornerbacks there in Philadelphia. All right, let's get to the teams that don't have first-round picks. First up, we got the Saints at 34th overall. I have them taking KJ Jefferson, quarterback from Arkansas. They could use, obviously, a franchise cornerback. I think Jefferson, Jaron Hall, Tyler Van Dyke could all be kind of options in this range of the draft. I think Jefferson might be the best of that trio in terms of what he offers as a runner, as a thrower. He's gritty, he's tough. I think that for the Saints picking at 34, even though you don't have a first-round pick, Jefferson is a nice addition for them and good value. 35th overall, I have the Browns taking Siaki Ika, defensive tackle from Baylor. Give them a big interior body, eat up blocks, free up those linebackers, free up Myles Garrett. I think Cleveland could use some youth on the inside of that defensive line. 51st overall, I have the Rams taking Habuk Baldonado, edge rusher from Pitt. Give them a guy to go across from Leonard Floyd. I think they've been missing Von Miller this season. I think one more edge rusher would really help Los Angeles. All right, that's it for the day 2 teams. Now we go later on, deeper into the draft. Denver, 3rd round. I have them taking Walter Roos, offensive tackle from Stanford. They could use more right tackle, offensive line depth, and competition. I think Roos would make sense there for Denver. And now San Francisco, with a real dearth of picks after the Christian McCaffrey trade. I have them taking Byron Young, defensive tackle from Byron Young, defensive tackle from Alabama. Give them another guy with upside and skill set to be a rotational depth player who could maybe turn into something more, but they could use some depth on that defensive line in San Francisco. So that's this week's mock. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys all have a safe and fun Halloween. Please like and share the video, subscribe, all that stuff. You can check the links below to our mocks, position rankings, all kinds of draft stuff, and Walt's picks and everything else. So just go to Walter Football. We got it all there. You guys take care. I love all of you. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back with you next week. See you soon.